If you think back to your first days in driver's ed, you might remember that one of the first principles of driving that we are taught is that when driving down a highway, you should focus ahead on the horizon where you want to go and not focus on the 10 feet in front of your car. When you're learning how to drive, it's tempting to want to stare right in front of the car and make sure that you're in the lines and you're centered in the lane. And as it turns out, the easiest way to do that is to look up and ahead, not to look right in front of the car. And if you look up and ahead, you will naturally find yourself where you want to be. And it comes with other advantages like seeing obstacles down the road, etc. Friends, let me suggest that St. Paul in his letter to the Colossians is actually asking us to do the same. To keep our eyes elevated and fixed on the kingdom of heaven. And he promises us the same thing that we seek to do in a car, that if we keep our eyes fixed on heaven, we will eventually find ourselves there. If we keep our eyes fixed on heaven, we will indeed find ourselves there. But as it is for the young and inexperienced driver, it is equally tempting for us to lose sight of the kingdom of heaven, to lose sight of our ultimate goal, and to fixate on the road that's 10, 15, or 20 feet ahead of us, on the stuff of this world. And the caution is the same, that if we become too consumed, too fixated on the stuff of this world, on the road that's right ahead of us, it might actually impede us on our journey to heaven. It is unhelpful in getting us to the Lord, because it will distract us and it will impede us from seeing the life that God calls us to. This is exactly what the Lord is speaking about in today's gospel. It's what he cautions us against in pursuing wealth and thinking about how that is active in our life. It's not that we can't have things, it's not that we can't have money or goods, but if we get so fixated on the acquisition of those things and lose sight of the kingdom of heaven, our attachment to those things may well prevent us from getting there. If we become so fixated on acquiring more goods, more stuff, more money, more titles, more position, more power, it can easily blind us towards the life that God calls us to. It can easily make us self-centered, it can make us narcissistic, it can make us greedy, it can make us all sorts of things that impede us from the kingdom of God. And so the Lord calls us to fix our eyes on heaven each day, and that will help us and guide us in thinking about how we use the stuff, the resources, the possessions of our life in a way that's conducive to, in a way that aids us on our journey to heaven. Again, it doesn't mean that we have to give away everything. It doesn't mean we have to be like St. Francis, but what it does mean is we have to be thoughtful each and every day about what it is we seek to pursue and why we're pursuing it, and to ask ourselves how God plays a role in that desire. If we seek wealth for the sake of wealth, if we seek power for the sake of having much power, none of that stuff goes with us to heaven. All of it ends with the grave. But what we do bring with us, love, charity, kindness, goodness, generosity. Those things we can practice in the way we use our material goods, in the way we see the world around us. Perhaps the most important example of this is in that great good that we all share, the very gift of human life. Just as we seem to value all the stuff in our life, we assign value each and every day to people. Your work earns you this salary. If you want more money, you should work harder and get a promotion. We assign people GPAs and class rank. We assign people titles: president, vice president, associate vice president, director, individual contributor, whatever your nomenclature may be. There are any number of mechanisms we use in this world to compare ourselves and rank ourselves and assign value to one another based on what we can produce, based on how hard we work, based on what position we have. That's a natural part of being in this world, but if we let that stuff impede the fundamental vision that God calls us to in the kingdom of heaven, then it will be hard to get there. If we think that the totality of one's value, of one's worth, of one's dignity is dependent on how much money they make, or what title they have, or what power they have, or what influence they have, then we're doing ourselves a disservice, and we're blinding ourselves to the life of heaven. For God reminds us each and every day that our worth, our dignity, our value as human beings isn't earned by how much we do or how hard we work, but is a gift from Him, who created us in His image and likeness, who made us for His glory. And that there is nothing that can take that away from us. Even if someone doesn't appear to work as hard as you do, or contribute as much as you do, or isn't as successful as you feel they should be. Those things may all well be true, but they can't remove that person's dignity and value as a human being. This is hard for us as human beings because it is certainly the case that there are any number of ways that people annoy us or frustrate us, or are frankly inconvenient to us. And the easiest way we have found in the history of our world is to simply find ways to strip them of their human dignity, because then that gives us the freedom to treat them however we wish. But if we uphold the sanctity of the human person, even when they're unhelpful to us, even if there's no apparent utility in their life, even when they're in the womb, or in the nursing home, or are incarcerated, or even an immigrant, we have to respect the fundamental dignity they possess as a child of God. Though this is hard, God gives us the grace to do it. And every single time we gather around this altar and are given a foretaste of the kingdom of heaven in the Holy Eucharist, the Lord invites us to elevate our gaze once again and to renew our commitment to make heaven our goal. And to see every aspect of our life, our relationships, our encounters, our material possessions, all of it, through the lens of the kingdom of God, through the lens of the life of holiness. And so as we gather for Eucharist this morning, may we simply give thanks to God for the gift that is the foretaste of heaven in this Mass. Let's simply ask God for the grace to keep this invitation in our eyes always, so that it may be the lens through which we see all things, so that we might find ourselves basking in His glory for all eternity.